This is the Greg Bedard Patriots Podcast with Nick Cattles.
He's Greg, I'm Nick. Of course, this is the Greg Bedard Patriots Podcast. As the big voice guy, Jim Murray, told you at the beginning of this program. Thanks to Athletic Greens, one-stop shopping for 75 high-quality vitamins to help you start your day right. It's Greg. It is Miami Dolphins week, of course, on Sunday at Foxborough, 1 p.m. kickoff. Let's first start with where we left off on the last episode of this lovely podcast. Was there any fallout from your rant? Did you hear any pushback, anything said to you about how you kind of lost your mind on the last episode?
I would say it's interesting. I mean, I think it's a lot like politics these days. Mac Jones, the Patriots offense, Bill Belichick, everybody's sort of split in their camps. So, probably 50-50. Some people saying thank God somebody finally said it. Some people saying you're an idiot, Bedard. Of course, that's every week or a daily basis. It certainly got a lot of run on Boston Sports Talk Radio. So that's good for us. Glad to provide quality programming during the lean winter holiday weeks when not a lot of regulars are in studio. So that was good to hear. I mean, one thing I just wanted to make sure that people understand, when I talked about, if you watched this game and you came out talking about Mac Jones, you're a freaking idiot, which I 100% believe. It was just about this game. And, I think it was, 2 weeks prior that I said Bill Belichick was in his rights to bench Mac Jones at halftime. I would just tell people and listeners to our podcast, and I'm sure those that are still listening, those that didn't unsubscribe during my rant, are the type of people who they come here, Nick, because you and I tell it like it is. This isn't fantasy land. We're not here to sugarcoat it for you. We're to give you the truth about your football team. And sometimes that means really good things. Sometimes that means
Belichick calling you?
Go Belichick right now. Calling me to yell at me. And we give you the truth. So, I mean, just because it's okay to say that Mac Jones was good in this game, especially once they open it up in the second half and the tight ends went out and they finally played Kendrick Bourne. It's okay to say Mac Jones played well in the second half and you want to see more of that. That doesn't mean that you have to change if you believe that Mac Jones isn't the guy for the long-term future of this franchise. And that very well may be. I think both of us are sort of in the category that we think he has a pretty good chance of being a franchise quarterback, but we don't know. Last year he was a rookie. This year he's put in tough circumstances. Who knows what's going to happen next year? But, just because I was a little bit harsh on this game, it doesn't change anything. You can have a different opinion about Mac Jones week to week. You don't have to be locked into your take on Mac Jones or I believe this, and you don't have to be take cornered as they might say. So that's just sort of what I wanted to clarify, that my comments were about this game. There are certainly other games, was that the Raiders game where he lost it at the goal line? I think it was.
Yeah.
And I thought he should have been. I would have benched him if I were Bill Belichick in that game, and he didn't. So we just try to keep it real around here, and I hope people appreciate that.
Keeping it real. That's what we do. And by the way, I think that there is one take. I'll be take cornered all day long on this one. I just don't think you can evaluate Mac Jones this year. And it's not to say that he's blameless. It's not to say that, he's the end all be all and he's going to be the franchise quarterback for the next 15 years. It's just, if you look at Mina Kimes, tweet yesterday, and we've talked about it, these guys running into each other, the spacing, Lombardi absolutely roasted the play calling this week, talking about how it's, it's just plays, right? It's not necessarily like an offense. It's just calling plays. And so I just think it's impossible to evaluate Mac Jones this year based off of what he was given or what he wasn't given. And so I'm not telling you he's the end all be all. I'm not telling you he stinks. I'm just saying that he was not supported. And I don't know what quarterback, I tweeted this yesterday at Nick C Radio. I tweeted yesterday, quote tweeted Mina Kimes. I don't know what NFL quarterback, if there is one, that would play well or really well consistently week in and week out, given this team's incompetence around the quarterback position and on the coaching staff. So I think, the jury is still out on Mac Jones. All right, let's look at the injury report, Greg, because it is not great. Yanni Kajust did not participate. Illness. Jack Jones, DNP with a knee. Marcus Jones, DNP with a concussion. Jalen Mills, DNP with a groin. Devontae Parker, DNP with a concussion. Matthew Slater, DNP, but this was not injury related. It was rest, so Matthew should be okay. And then Jonnu Smith, DNP with a concussion. Your thoughts on that long list of a lot of important players, especially on the defensive side?
Yeah, I think the big thing is the secondary. And, you're going up against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Cedric Wilson. This is not a good week when you need to win out to not have even close to full capacity in the secondary. I mean, basically, Jonathan Jones must look around and be like, where'd everybody go? Because he's the only guy left, him and Miles Bryant. Jalen Mills, it's amazing. It's like, he reminds me a lot of he's Eric Rowe. Eric Rowe, who's now on the Dolphins. Like, it seemed like he always had like a groin injury. This has been going on for weeks, and that he couldn't even participate on Wednesday. That's not good. Marcus Jones and the concussion. He's been obviously one of the bright spots of this team coming down the stretch. Jack Jones, that he couldn't get going on a Wednesday, is not good. So it looks like they're going to have to go out there with Jonathan Jones, Miles Bryant, and probably everyone's favorite, Sean Wade, who has had a tough go the last couple weeks when he's received playing time. So it's tough sledding for the Patriots going into this week, but at least, as we talked about before, just another case of the Patriots going up against a backup quarterback. That's all they've beaten this year, and Jared Goff. And so, we'll talk more about the matchup, but that they're down so many guys in the secondary. I'm just looking to see who they have on the practice squad available. There's a guy named Ty Hayes at cornerback, Quandre Mosley at cornerback, and that's it. And no one's going to feel sorry for the Patriots. I mean, the Dolphins are dealing with stuff, so they're going to have to figure it out.
Yeah, the Marcus Jones one is just huge because we've talked about it. He was the Bugs Bunny rendition of the football team, playing special teams, playing defense, playing some offensive snaps. And so he's going to impact this team in this game in a number of different ways if he's not out there. So that's a big one. That's a big one to go along with Kajust, because now, again, you're looking at, your third string, fourth string right tackle out there. And that is not ideal with the pressure Miami likes to send, which we'll get into a little bit later. When you look at this game, Greg, and you look at Belichick individually, there's one note that you put in here, and I just want you to kind of wax poetic on this. Mm-hmm. Belichick needs to stop being a stage mom and let his boys play for once. Explain.
Yeah. So, and this, with the injury issues in the secondary, this might be a tough week to do it. But, I think that watching the Patriots this year, I think it's been obvious, certainly on the offensive side of the ball, that you look at it and they've just, when they've gone against teams that they think they're going to get pressure against, or they might not match up well with up front, they just get scared to death, and you see the quick game and a bunch of screens. I mean, even against the freaking Arizona Cardinals, they're screening to death because, the Cardinals might blitz. I mean, this is professional football, okay? So we've seen it on the offensive side. It's been there throughout the year where they're just like, and it's obvious that they have concerns about the offensive line. And increasingly, it's been happening on defense. And I understand it's a little bit out of context or probably not germane to the discussion because they have so many injury issues going on there. But here's the thing. Anybody that they're going to play this weekend, Jonathan Jones, Miles Bryant, Sean Wade even. This is a guy that they traded for, in the middle of camp 2 years ago. These guys have been here. These are professional football players. That have been in your system that you've trained. And with every week, and this Bengals game only reinforced it. It's basically what I wrote my column on the other day about how they're short in the secondary. And it's obvious, just like the offense, how they game plan tells you they have zero confidence that they can run block or pass block well enough. Defensively, the way they've called these games against the better offenses, and I think they were headed down this road also with Kyler Murray before he got hurt against the Cardinals. I'm talking about the Bills and the Bengals. The Patriots just basically their game plan. And even I heard Chris Sims talk about this. I was listening to his podcast last night after I had written my column, and he sees the same thing that, they just basically like sit back and they're just like, look, we can't compete. So we're just hoping to keep the score down, make you burn up enough clock. We're not going to press the issue on you at all, and we're just too afraid. And we're gonna coach scared. And I think they've been coaching scared all year. I think it's been part of the frustration with the players on both sides of the ball, especially the Bills game. I think that's what you heard a lot from the players, that they were down 17-7, yet they still stuck with the same game plan, which is let's not get blown out. They just didn't. They gave up trying to win the game. At least against the Bengals, you saw in the second half that they threw caution to the wind a little bit, especially offensively. They started to open it up, throw the ball down to Kendrick Bourne. Of course, it didn't really happen till the end of the third quarter, but whatever, it happened. And defensively, you look at what they did against the Bengals, the pick six that they had, guess what happened on that play, Nick? They actually sent a lot of pressure, and Kyle Duggar was right in Joe Burrow's face and forced him into a mistake. It depends on how you judge that. You could say that was just a quarterback and a wide receiver not being on the same page, but at least the Patriots forced the issue, and it contributed at least to them making a game-changing mistake. And so that has been – so I'm hoping that Bill Belichick, and I'm hoping the leaders on the team, when they speak to Belichick this week, I hope they go to him and they say, Bill, look, there's 2 games left in the season. We have to win out. You have Teddy Bridgewater on one side. Yes, they have good wide receivers, but it's Teddy Bridgewater. He's really a backup quarterback in this league. He might be one of the better ones. And then defensively, the Dolphins take risks like nobody's business against everybody. Josh Boyer, the former secondary coach here, blitzes all the time and stupidly. And it cost the Dolphins a game last week against the Packers. So, my wish is that for one time, and finally it's the next to last game of the season, that Bill says, you know what, guys, we're done trying to win this game as coaches. We're done trying to overinflate our importance. And we're just going to let you play. And we're gonna spread it out. We're gonna throw the ball. We're gonna let Mac do his thing. We might even go no huddle at times. On defense, we need to cover some things in the back end, but we have some smart zone coverages behind it. But up front, we're gonna do some corner blitzes, or we're gonna do some safety blitzes. We're gonna do some stuff. We're gonna throw some really nice plays out there that sort of let you strut your stuff, because I think it's high time for that, and I think the players are tired of the way they've been playing. I think it's the root of it is that Belichick thinks that him and his coaches have to win the game, that the players can't win the game. And Bill just needs to get back to remembering what he used to say. Coaches lose game, players win game. Well, let the players loose. Take the leash off them. Let them go. Let them play. If they make mistakes, let them make them on their own, and just go for it. For once this season, I would love to see that.
coaching scared has been prevalent with this team post Brady.
Mm-hmm.
And think back to, the Dallas game when they gave up the 4th and forever because of the coverage they chose. You go back to the Raiders game, 4th and 10, not sending any pass rush to try to get to Derek Carr to rattle him and allowing him some time to find Matt Collins one-on-one against Marcus Jones on the outside for that comeback route. It bleeds over to the decision-making by Belichick. I mean, how many times have we seen them near midfield or even in the plus side of the field, punt the football on 4th and short? For just, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, you see some teams are way over aggressive, Brandon Staley, Chargers, others, but you're looking at a 4th and 1. He did it last week against Cincinnati. It was in their own territory, but he's looking at a 4th and 1. Cincinnati's offense at that point was roasting your defense. It looked like it was going to be a blowout. And I think they were around, I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head, I think they were around their own 40-ish
yeah,
yard
it was
line.
at 39, I think.
Yeah, and it's a 4th and 1. And I think it might have even been shorter than 1, but it was marked as 4th and 1 on TV. And he punts the football. And, that kind of conservatism, I think, just it creeps into the team and you have guys doubting everything. This is not a team that seems like they're flying around, playing free, a quarterback making calls at the line, doing what he wants to do. It's so structured and so conservative that the ceiling is so low. And I hope that changes, but I don't have much optimism.
Like they say, Nick, what do they say? What's the old saying? Scared money don't make money.
Yep.
And that's where they are at this point in the season. They haven't made much money. They're not even breaking even. Bill, just let it roll.
All right. Before we get to this Dolphins game, Greg, tell the people about Athletic Greens.
Yes, let me do that. I started taking AG1 because I wanted to make sure I was getting all the vitamins and nutritional supplements I needed in one place. Now I've been on it for 6 months and I love it. It doesn't taste like it's super healthy, even though it's a green juice. And a lot of people look at that and they're just like, nah. No, I'm telling you, it has kind of a mild tropical taste, a little minty, and I actually look forward to it each morning. So what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source ingredients, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all the things you're looking for. I take it first thing in the morning. Now it's part of my daily routine, and I'd be lost without it. Contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good. Right now is time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Bedard. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Bedard to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
Obviously, the biggest story heading into this game is the Tua concussion across the NFL and the idea that, Tua is very unlikely to play. And I'd be surprised if he plays the rest of this season, given the history and the recent history with his head injuries, which means good old Teddy B is likely to be the quarterback on Sunday, Greg. Of course, Miami has a ton of weapons. We saw them earlier this year. I thought the Patriots did a decent job at the beginning of the season, somewhat limiting those guys, not allowing Tyreek Hill to get over the top time and time again, which has happened to other teams in the league this year. But your thoughts on this Dolphins offense, what we'll see on Sunday, and especially your thoughts about this offense with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, Tua is definitely out for this week. We'll see whether he's back this season. I think his concussion in hindsight now explains a lot because the way he played in the second half of that game was it was puzzling, especially the last interception. They were just like, dude, that was pretty simple cover 2. Like, what are we looking at? That's like, sort of day one stuff. And, he's just throwing balls right at people. About the first matchup, because I have heard people, even like Mike Lombardi, talk about like, well, Belichick knows how to play these guys. He stopped them. They did limit them. But let's also remember that was the first game of an entirely new regime. I mean, a new coaching staff, a new offensive staff. Tyreek Hill was new to the offense. So they're a long ways from that. And, while I do still think the Patriots have always known, even when it came to when Tyreek Hill was on the Chiefs, they knew how to play him, and they'll always keep somebody over the top of him. They will try to limit him to, 10 to 15-yard catches and try to tackle him immediately. The Patriots are still a pretty good tackling team. Waddle's really the guy who sort of louses up everything because he's so explosive, and even the Chiefs, when they had Tyreek Hill, they never had a complimentary weapon like Jalen Waddle. Gesicki, I'll be interested to see if he's a little bit more of a factor with Teddy Bridgewater. He's never been a great fit for that offense. There were rumors about him wanting to be traded out during training camp, which I don't really understand because George Kittle thrives in this offense, and I don't understand why Gesicki wouldn't, but maybe Teddy Bridgewater likes tight ends a little bit more. I think the big thing is with the Dolphins offensively, they don't run the ball very well. They don't, and that's the thing with the whole Shanahan McDaniel scheme is it's really supposed to be a run first, coolest run offense in the league type of thing. And they just haven't run very much. They get way too pass happy. To me, that plays in to what the Patriots kind of want to do with their pressure up front. And I think, the big thing is going to be if the Patriots are going to win this game, they're going to have to dominate up front with the pass rush. And the Dolphins offensive line is okay. It's limited. Eichenberg is back at left guard. He's been okay even before he got hurt. He was just okay. I would say the right tackle, Brandon Shell, has been, a weakness for them. Armstead, he's a veteran guy. When he's right, he's really good. But, how healthy is he at this point? So I think when you look at the Patriots defense against the Dolphins offense, they're going to have to affect Teddy Bridgewater. He's the type of guy that he's not going to make a lot of plays off platform. He's kind of a sitting duck back there. He can move a little bit, but the Patriots need to have, Matthew Judon, Josh Uche, Christian Barmore, Dietrich Wise. They all need to have their best game if their pass rush can limit the weapons of the offense, then that's a winning formula for the Patriots.
Yeah, you got to let your pass rush eat on Sunday and throw an occasional blitz at them if you'd like, or multiple blitzes at them. But I agree with you. Uche, Judon, Barmore, Wise, anybody else on that defensive front, it's going to be critical for them to get the pressure and for them to rattle Bridgewater and get him off schedule, because he is an on-schedule quarterback. He does not love the idea of, expanding plays, and he's not going to do the spectacular. And especially with the secondary, all the question marks with the injuries at the third level for this defense. I mean, even with Bridgewater, if you give them time with these weapons and that speed against this secondary, if it's as banged up as it looks like it's going to be, it could be a long day for the defense. So that defensive front is just so vital to the Patriots having a chance to win this game on Sunday. Offensively, we've covered that. Now let's look at defense. Josh Boyer. You mentioned this a little bit a few minutes ago, Greg, but he loves to blitz. He loves to blitz, and sometimes that has bitten him in the tuk-tuk.
Oh, for sure. I mean, to me, it's one of the big problems with this Dolphins defense that, and it's funny because Boyer came from New England where they hardly ever blitz, and now he goes down there, and I just couldn't believe what they did in the second half against the Packers. I mean, the Dolphins had that game. They had complete control of that game. And yes, Tua's turnovers were a huge problem in that game and ultimately cost them. But, blitzing Aaron Rodgers is not a smart thing normally ever, and it wasn't in that game. And Boyer just kept doing it, and it killed that team. I think when you look at the Dolphins defense, first of all, you got to start with Christian Wilkins inside is one of the best interior players in the league. You worry about that again with Cole Strange. hopefully he gets matched up more with Onwenu in this game. If I'm the Dolphins, I'm just putting him over Cole Strange. Christian Wilkins always kills the Dolphins. The Patriots. He always has great games against the Patriots. But I think if I were the offensive coordinator for the Patriots going into this game, I would have a couple goals. Number one, we're going to run inside, and we're going to stick with the run, and we're going to double team Christian Wilkins at the point of attack. And then, because I think when you talk about a Landon Roberts on the second level, Jerome Baker, Chubb, if he's out there, the pass rusher defensive end that they got from the Broncos, not a great run guy. Jalen Phillips, really good pass rusher, not good against the run and not good against misdirection. So I'm running the ball inside. I'm double teaming Christian Wilkins. I'm running a lot of misdirection, pulling people, fake one way, boot action. I'm trying to get a lot of movement because their front seven is not very disciplined, and you can get busts from this team, especially if they're bringing pressure. If you catch them in a pressure, I'm doing a lot of play action in this game for once. I'm getting under center. I'm doing that sort of thing, which Matt Patricia hasn't done. And while I'm looking out for Javon Holland, who's an excellent safety for them, you have to watch him. The other guys, Xavier Howard is not the same guy he used to be at cornerback. Kohu's an undrafted free agent, good player, but undrafted free agent. Keon Crossland's a guy who the Patriots traded away, was just a special teams guy. He plays a lot in the secondary. And Eric Rose, another safety, former Patriot who isn't that great. So, if I'm Matt Patricia and I'm, Mac Jones and I'm, Bill Belichick and I'm looking at this, you got to have some confidence going into this game. You can't coach scared. You got to be like, you know what? This is the type of defense that we can open things up against, and don't be afraid of that, and go after it and put points on the board and help your defense. Because I do think that the Patriots, they can handle the Dolphins up front in this game. And if Boyer blitzes, all the better. But, make sure everybody's running the right routes, which we talked about last week, and turning around and being ready. They do all those little things in this game. They have a chance to score in this game.
Yeah, don't run into each other. I agree with you. Wilkins is a beast in the middle. The guy can single-handedly impact a game, not like many others, honestly. I think the edges, you are correct that, those guys play a little wild. Chubb loves his sack numbers. He tends to get a little too deep on his pass rush. Phillips is the same way. Phillips plays with his hair on fire sometimes, or most of the time. So he can get trapped into certain looks and certain things if you try to take advantage of his aggressiveness. He's a very athletic dude, but he does tend to lose himself at times. So I do think there'll be opportunity. I just have not much confidence in Matt Patricia, and we could sit here and give him the game plan. We've talked about this several times this year. We go into a game saying this is what you can do against this defense, and Patricia goes out there and does the exact opposite. So I expect shotgun formation, 4 wide, 5 wide. Let's go crazy. Probably 6 to 7 screens, 1 or 2 play action attempts, and not double teaming, Wilkins. That's what I expect from Matt Patricia. I expect the worst and hope for the best. Right now, I want to bet the under on the Red Sox. I don't know what the hell Chaim Bloom's doing. What are you doing? Chaim, what are you doing? You had almost $100 million to spend this offseason, and you continue to shop for blue light specials like Corey Kluber. I'm so tired of the 1+1 club option crap with a pitcher that has been, hurt a million times in the past 5 or 6 years. Just, it's so frustrating. Anyway,
when they said Corey Kluber, I was like, wait a minute, what year is this? Like,
yeah. Yeah, they're like, he went 10-10 with the Rays last year for like a 4.4 ERA. Yeah. Fantastic. James Paxton. I mean, this is a Chaim Bloom special. Let's get to the pick. So Patriots are favored -3. I would wonder what the number would look like if it was Tua. I'd imagine.
Yeah, it opened Dolphins like -2, I think, and it swung all the way back.
Yeah, I'd imagine that if Tua was playing, the Dolphins would be favored in this one. But Patriots -3, Greg, the over-under is 41. If you're just joining us on the podcast, well, welcome in. Thank you. The water is warm. Enjoy your time. And secondly, when we look at against the spread, I am 13-2 and Greg is 12-3. So now the pressure's on. 2 more weeks. We got to get these picks right. Patriots -3, Greg.
So let's start with the weather forecast because that's always important this time of year. I'm looking at AccuWeather. They're saying, and by the way, it's gorgeous out here today. It almost feels like I'm ready to go out in shorts and throw the baseball and softball around. But wow. It's supposed to be 54 degrees. It's supposed to feel like 47. Wind, it looks like it's going to be a little bit of a factor. It says the wind sustained 16 miles an hour, wind gusts 31 miles an hour. So, you know, between Teddy Bridgewater and Mac Jones, not exactly two guys who cut the wind with their throws. So that'll be interesting to see, who that favors. I think both have the ability to run the ball. I would say Stevenson's the best running back in this game. This game is tough to call. I mean, it really is. And it's sort of like you have to believe that, like you just said, you have to believe in Matt Patricia in this game. And that is a tall task for anybody. That he is going to throw caution to the wind, that he's going to be able to beat Josh Boyer at his game. Even though, the Dolphins have sort of had their way with the Patriots lately in this matchup. It doesn't really matter who's coaching or who's quarterbacking. You can go back to Ryan Fitzpatrick and, what was that, 2019 or 2018? When he came in here, final game of the season, Patriots had the number 1 seed or home field advantage on the line, and Ryan Fitzpatrick, torched the crap out of them in that game. And 2 is 4-0 against the Patriots. I just think at the end of the day, I think it's easier for the Dolphins to score in this game to get to, say, 27, 30 points than it is for the Patriots to keep pace. Like I said, I think you have to believe in Matt Patricia, and I don't see why in week 16 that's all of a sudden going to happen. Could it happen? Absolutely. I do. I think, if the Patriots risk a little bit on both sides of the ball, I think they can cause turnovers. They can get short fields. They can do some things. I think they can go toe-to-toe with the Dolphins in this game. But I just don't have a lot of confidence that Bill Belichick is suddenly going to change his stripes, that Matt Patricia is suddenly going to call a masterful game. So, for that reason, I'm going to go with the Dolphins by 3 in this game.
So you're going push. No, you're going, okay, never mind.
Yep.
Yeah, you're going Dolphins by 3. Okay. So, I feel a lot of the same way that you feel. I think the Dolphins are beatable. Mm-hmm. I think this is a very winnable game for the Patriots. I think they're beatable with Tua, frankly. Yep. But I just haven't seen it enough from the Patriots consistently, especially on the offensive side. And with all the injuries in the secondary, I just have no idea, unless they have an all-time fantastic game up front, which is possible. I just don't know how they are able to slow down Waddle and Hill consistently in this game and not give up a couple of chunk plays, and all of a sudden you look up and Miami scores because you blew a coverage here, you blew a coverage there. I don't trust this secondary with all the injuries and with the talent on Miami. I would go with Miami as well. And I think it's going to be a close game. I'll go, Miami by 6. I could feel maybe like a 24 to I'll go 24-17. So I'll go 7, Miami by 7. But again, this is a winnable game. If I had confidence in Patricia to go out there and do the right things, then I would say, yeah, the Patriots will be able to score 24, 27, 30 points against this defense. I just have zero confidence in Matt Patricia. So I'll roll with the Dolphins. Before we head out of here, BSJ member question of the day, annual plan. Don't forget $39.99, BostonSportsJournal.com. All the great Boston sports coverage. Greg has his weekly chats. He breaks down the film as well. And this week's question, Greg, we'll just throw it out there. It's Derek Carr. Derek Carr was benched officially yesterday by the Raiders. McDaniel said there is no finality to this move. Derek Carr was out of the facility within 10 minutes. I think it's rather obvious that Derek Carr will not be a Raider next year. just your thoughts on the decision to move by Josh McDaniels with 2 games left.
Yeah. So as everybody knows, I've watched the Raiders film all year. I've graded the Patriots, the Raiders film. I don't take quite as much time on it as I do with the Patriots film, but still I have a pretty good, I know what's going on there and what's on film. And I also worked for about 6 months for the Las Vegas newspaper. And part of my deal, I saw Derek Carr's 2019 film. I had also, to prepare, I watched his 2018 film. So I know Derek Carr pretty well. I've seen a lot of him on film. And look, this is the bottom line. And this is putting out aside, any feeling Devontae Adams or Josh Jacobs or whatever. And as a head coach, you need to factor in that stuff. But here's the bottom line. The bottom line is Josh McDaniels tried to make this work. I thought a lot of their game plans were on point. I thought that there were, even in this last game, there were plays to be made. This is similar to where I was in 2019 with John Gruden, when I almost wrote this exact column for the Vegas newspaper saying like they have to decide on Carr, because you can look at him either way. There is stuff there on film that you're like, oh, this guy's pretty good. There's a lot of stuff there that says he's never going to get it. And to me, after my history with Carr, watching him this year, it was over. He's not the long-term quarterback. The bottom line is he's not the long-term quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders. The McDaniels and Ziegler made an honest effort. They tried to make it work. They even went out and got Devontae Adams, his college buddy, probably to make sure that, hey, at the end of the day, people couldn't say, well, he didn't have any weapons, or he didn't have this, or he didn't have that. At the end of the day, and they didn't have Waller, they didn't have Renfro the whole season. I understand, but there was enough there in that offense for them to be a lot better. And a lot of their losses, including this last one against Pittsburgh, Derek Carr was the major problem. That he missed plays, that he turned the ball over too much, and it was clear that after this game, and it has been rapidly deteriorating this year how poorly Derek Carr has played in this scheme, that it was obvious that he was not going to be the quarterback for next year. They have enough evidence. So then what do? Do you just play out the string? You have a responsibility to the organization. I assume Mark Davis, when you make a move like this, Josh McDaniels has to go to Mark Davis and say, look, Mark, this is what we're going to do. Carr, we have our answer now. Carr is not the long-term quarterback for our team. We tried to make it work. It's not going to work. And if I'm Mark Davis, I'm saying, well, if that's the case, I don't want to be on the hook for $40 million next year. So sit him. Tell him that he's going to be inactive for the last 2 games. That's not ideal the way it went down, but I don't see what other reality really was out there. And here's the other side of the coin, Nick, or the other factor in this is, what the Raiders are going to do at quarterback now. I mean, They have to, when you make a move like this with the talent, and Josh Jacobs is going to be a free agent. Who knows if he's back? I doubt he will be. I think the McDaniels and Ziegler are of the type like the Patriots, like they're not going to overspend at running back, even though they love Josh Jacobs. I love Josh Jacobs. He's phenomenal, but running backs have a shelf life. They can't just bring in like some rookie quarterback. They can't just trade for Mac Jones and bring him in. Like, you got to come in with a legit starting quarterback. So to me, that means either Tom Brady or you make some sort of major play for Lamar Jackson. I have no idea how that works with the salary cap, but something of that ilk where if you bring in this quarterback, nobody's going to complain. And in fact, they're going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, we're doing this. And that's the only way this thing works. If they don't get the quarterback, then it's going to be a rough go. But to me, on film, they had to make this choice. It's awkward the way it went down. I don't see many alternatives. And now it's all about they got to find the next quarterback. And if I'm them, I'm bringing in Brady for 2 years. I'm using my decent draft pick this year to find the next quarterback. He sits for 2 years behind Brady, learns, and then they're off. That's what I do.
Few thoughts. Number one, I don't think McDaniels or Ziegler were ever in love with Derek Carr, and that's why they structured the contract the way they structured the contract, where, it's very easy to get out of this deal. You've just got to make the decision quickly, which is going to make it tough to trade him because I think it's like 2 or 3 days after the season's over. Yeah. You got to make a decision there, and it's obvious he's not going to stick around. So they have to have a trade lined up as soon as the season's over, pretty much. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. But when you structure the contract the way they did, that tells you they did not love the guy. They were not fully committed. They were going to see if it could work, but they weren't fully committed at any point to Derek Carr. And that began with that contract. I would also say that good news for Jarrett Stidham. You get to start 2 NFL games. Bad news for Jarrett Stidham. Those 2 games are against San Francisco and Kansas City. So good luck with that. This is pretty much Tank City, USA now for the Raiders, I think, or at least it should be. They now currently, I think they sit at like 9th in the draft. If they lose the next couple of games, they might climb a couple of spots, which would give them the opportunity, as you mentioned, Greg, to find that quarterback of the future and hopefully be patient with him, dependent on what you do in the offseason via trade or free agency. And you hit the nail on the head. Look, when you make a move like this, even if Derek Carr is, a quarterback who you'd rank somewhere around 12 to 15, which is where I've always been with him, even if you say he's around that spot, he's slightly above average, it's been proven that it's very difficult to replace quarterbacks in the NFL, even guys that are slightly above average. And Denver has had a hell of a time. They thought they had it figured out with Russell Wilson. That looks like it's going to go down as one of the worst trades in NFL history. You look at the Colts when Andrew Luck retired in August a couple of years ago. They've been scrambling. Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, they have not been able to figure out the answer. The Commanders have done the same thing. They tried to hold Carson Wentz route. That hasn't worked out well. So it's very difficult. And so now here it is, right? I have no problem with them cutting bait with Derek Carr at this point because, hey, if you're not going to have him next year, if you don't believe in him, then just do what you're doing right now. You might as well. You've got nothing to lose. So, when you look at it, and also one thing is if Derek Carr got injured in one of these last 2 games, like $40 million would have been guaranteed to him. So The worst thing you could do is play him knowing that he's not a part of your future. And then, my leg the last week of the season. And then the guy gets $40 million guaranteed. So, you look at this though, and now it's up to the trio. It's up to Mark Davis. What's he willing to spend? Does he have the money to spend, which has been questioned? It is up to, Dave Ziegler to evaluate the players and get the right guy. And it's up to McDaniels to be able to coach that guy, because when you make this move, you have to get an upgrade. If you do not upgrade at the quarterback position for 2023, then you did it wrong. Yep. And I don't think this team is in a spot to be patient. I don't think Josh is patient. I don't think Dave is patient. And I know for damn sure Mark Davis is not going to be patient. So they have to get this right. This is literally the future of the organization. And I think it's the future of Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, because if they don't get it right, I don't think Josh gets a third bite of the apple. And I think Ziegler probably goes back to helping a front office instead of being the point man. So a very big decision for that organization now. They have to get right. If they get it wrong, it's going to get awfully messy. He's Greg. I'm Nick. Everybody try to enjoy the game on Sunday. Try to, if you can. If you go out, obviously, this weekend, enjoy yourself. Be safe. Don't be knuckleheads. Be safe out there. And we'll catch up with you early next week to recap the Dolphins and Patriots. Till then, thanks to Athletic Greens. It's the Greg Bedard Patriots Podcast with Nick Cavett.